What if there were books that could not be read without consequence, not simply fiction, not mere superstition, but texts said to carry curses, to unravel the mind itself? One of the strangest of these is The King in Yellow, a play written in the late 19th century. Readers whispered that those who went beyond the first act lost themselves to madness. But this story is not unique. Across history, cultures have spoken of forbidden writings, scrolls said to summon spirits, grimoires locked away by the church, and ancient papyri said to contain the names of gods too dangerous to speak aloud. Why do these tales repeat? Perhaps they reflect an archetype buried deep in the human psyche. The idea that certain knowledge is so powerful, it cannot be safely known. The King in Yellow may be literature, but the fear it represents echoes the same warnings given about the Book of Enoch, the Necronomicon, and countless esoteric texts hidden from the masses. But The King in Yellow is only the modern mask of an ancient fear. Long before Robert Chambers wrote his play, there were whispers of texts said to infect the reader. In ancient Mesopotamia, clay tablets warned that certain incantations could not be spoken without drawing the gaze of spirits. In Egypt, the Book of Thoth was said to give its reader command over gods themselves, but at the cost of torment and destruction. Even in Jewish mysticism, Kabbalistic texts like the Sefer Raziel were kept hidden, for it was believed that the uninitiated might lose their sanity attempting to read them. Literature becomes myth, and myth becomes memory, a cycle where the idea of forbidden words repeats again and again. Was it superstition? Or did these cultures recognize something real, that the mind, when exposed to certain patterns, can unravel? Perhaps the curse is not in the book itself, but in the fragile boundaries of human consciousness. In the modern age, the myth took new forms. H.P. Lovecraft gave us the Necronomicon, a book that never truly existed, yet readers swore they could feel its weight in the world. Libraries received letters asking if the volume was hidden in their collections. Bookstores got requests to order copies. Some even produced forgeries, filled with invented spells, and still people reported strange dreams, unease, and shadows moving in the corners of their rooms after reading. And it didn't stop there. The Catholic Church has its own forbidden library, known as the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, where texts were locked away because they were considered dangerous to faith, sanity, or order. The line between fiction and forbidden truth blurred. Once again, stories of cursed knowledge resurfaced, books that could unhinge the mind, not because of demons within their pages, but because they planted ideas too heavy for the human psyche to bear. If knowledge this forbidden could change everything you thought was safe, what else might be hidden in plain sight? Subscribe, and step with us deeper into the labyrinth of secrets they never wanted you to find. Psychologists suggest that the terror of forbidden texts isn't just superstition, it's rooted in the way the mind processes information. When you read a phrase that suggests doom, your brain doesn't just analyze it, it simulates the possibility, creating an imprint of fear as though it were real. Ancient mystics knew this long before neuroscience. In Kabbalah, certain names of God were said to fracture the mind if spoken without preparation. In Sufi traditions, secret verses were taught only after years of discipline, because the words could ignite overwhelming states of consciousness. And so, the myth of the cursed book reflects something deeper. Language itself is alchemy. Words are not passive. They rewire perception, plant seeds, and sometimes open doors that the reader is not ready to walk through. A forbidden story is dangerous not because of demons on the page, but because it can awaken the ones already hidden in us. History is full of books treated as too dangerous to exist. In 213 BCE, the Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huang ordered the burning of Confucian texts, fearing their wisdom could undermine his power. In the Middle Ages, the Church banned apocryphal Gospels, claiming they carried heresies capable of leading souls astray. And even in modern times, governments have censored writings that questioned authority or revealed forbidden knowledge. Each case reflects the same belief, that words are not harmless, they can destabilize empires, shift cultures, and ignite revolutions. The myth of the King in Yellow fits into this lineage, a story so charged with suggestion that it behaves like a spell, eroding the mind of whoever reads it. Whether or not the book exists, the pattern is real. Forbidden texts are never just paper and ink. They are battlegrounds where language, power, and human imagination collide. To read them is to risk transformation, and that is why they have always been feared. But perhaps the most insidious danger of forbidden books is not censorship by rulers or churches. It is the silence we create inside ourselves. Throughout history, people have whispered of texts so unsettling that readers stopped halfway, afraid of what might come next. Psychologists call this self-censorship, the mind recoiling from knowledge that threatens its stability. In a sense, the myth of the King in Yellow captures this perfectly. Readers aren't forced to put it down by any authority. They abandon it willingly, as though the book itself had awakened something they cannot face. It's a phenomenon seen even in modern times. Warnings that certain films, rituals, or online writings drive people mad. Is it the content itself or the projection of fear onto the content that creates the madness? The truth may lie in both. For when a story convinces you that knowing is dangerous, your imagination does the rest, and the book becomes more than words. It becomes a mirror of your own shadows. One of the Yellow Emperor's most enduring legacies is the Huangdi Neijing, the inner classic of medicine. This ancient text became the foundation of Chinese medicine, mapping the body's energy channels, the balance of yin and yang, and the cycles of nature within us. It shows that the wisdom of the cosmos and the wisdom of the body were always one. In fact, in our next video, we'll dive deeper into this timeless text and uncover what it really teaches about healing and energy. Why is forbidden knowledge always tied to power? From the alchemists of Alexandria to the secret orders of the Renaissance, knowledge was seen as both a weapon and a temptation. The church banned certain books not only because they contradicted doctrine, but because they offered ordinary people the keys to transformation. To know the structure of the stars, the cycles of energy, or the hidden names of God was to challenge the hierarchy itself. This is why the myth of cursed books persists. They symbolize a truth too disruptive to be safely shared. Think of Galileo's works, locked away not for madness, but for power, or grimoires that blended medicine with magic, suppressed because they blurred lines that authorities wanted clear. Each time, knowledge is labeled dangerous. The question is not just what the text says, but who might lose control if the people believe it. And that is why forbidden books are feared, not because they poison the mind, but because they awaken it. So what truly makes a book forbidden? It is rarely ink on paper that holds the danger. It is the ideas, the questions, the possibilities that cannot be controlled. A page can ignite revolutions, topple empires, or awaken an inner light that no authority can extinguish. This is why mystery schools guarded their scrolls, why grimoires were hidden in locked chests, and why entire libraries were burned to ash. To suppress knowledge is to admit its power. To call it cursed is to confess its potential to liberate. And yet, throughout history, fragments always survive. A single manuscript surfaces centuries later. A forgotten verse reappears. The forbidden refuses to stay buried. Perhaps the greatest fear of those in power is not that people will read these texts, but that they will realize the truth was always within them. The real forbidden book is not hidden in a vault. It is the consciousness you carry, and once opened, no one can ever close it again. If the ancients believed that balancing energy inside the body could shape destiny itself, do you think modern science is still missing the greatest medicine ever discovered?